Hi guys, it's Tammy again with Pretty Presets, and I'm back for our third editing video for the Pretty Takeover. And I'm editing Boudoir, as you can see here. If you've seen the first two videos, then you already know this, and I'm going to jump right in. But I shoot Boudoir as well as the stuff you normally see me shooting, kids, families, that type of thing. And for the Pretty Takeover this week, I'm going to be talking more about this other side of my business, which is boudoir photography. So I've already edited these two photos here in previous videos. I'll click on them real quick just to show you. This is our second editing video on boudoir, and this is the first shot that we edited. Let me let it load real quick. I have a little bit of a cold, so I sound kind of nasally, but I'm just going to move on because we still have to edit and we still have to work even when we don't feel good, right? Okay, so there it is. Perfect, brought that one up, and then I'm going to be doing this one today. And always, I'm gonna straighten it first because crooked photos make me a little bit insane. So I'm gonna hit auto right here under transform, and that's already going to bring it up where I want it. I can then go in and crop further if I wanted. I'd probably come in here a little bit more. Let me see, hit done, there we go. I think I'm happy with that. One of the first things that I'm gonna do is come in here, and I usually do edit eyes in Photoshop, but you also can do it with the portrait brushes in Lightroom. I don't want people to think that you can't just stay in Lightroom and edit boudoir, because you really can. The Pretty Presets has a set of portrait brushes that have the skin smoothing and the eyes and the whole 9 yards. Also, the baby set has a skin smoothing, which you can also use. So either the baby set or the portrait set, you could definitely fully edit a photo in Lightroom and not have to take it into Photoshop. But I want you to know that you can, but I do like Photoshop for a lot of things. So if you're even slightest bit thinking that you might want to learn Photoshop, I think it's worth it. So right now I've got it on eyes sharpen. I've got my brush tool, and I'm gonna just come and sharpen the eye. I don't want it to be insane, because whenever you do put your preset, it's gonna have some amount of sharpening to it, and you don't want the eyes to look over sharpened. But I'm just gonna hit the lashes. I don't wanna darken the lashes, which there are options for that and brushes for that, but I don't want them any darker. I am gonna run over this side just a little bit, even though this eye isn't really what's the focus, it's this one. And then I'm gonna hit new, and I'm going to do eyes, the whiten. Where did you go? Eyes whiten. And I'm just going to carefully put that on the white just to brighten it up a little bit. And I'm not gonna do that other eye because I'm not trying to draw attention to it. Let me fit, okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I brought that out a little bit, but nothing crazy. So the next thing I am going to do is the retouch, like always, with my clone and tool. Excuse me, clone and heal tool, but I have it on heal because clone is a little bit too strong. So heal, got it turned up to 100%, and I'm gonna just come in and find some little spots that need to be retouched. Little spot there, and the H key will bring it up and hide it again for you if it's in your way when you're trying to make a selection, or you can bring it up to see where it took the sample of your selection from. I'm gonna touch these up, and with boudoir photography, I feel like this is sort of part of the game. The goal for me is to make this the best possible version of this person in a photo. So I'm going to retouch everything that I feel like takes away from that. So all these little, and you get really, honestly, you get really fast at it. It doesn't take me that long, especially when you learn how to sort of see, I don't want to say what's wrong because that doesn't sound nice, but when you can see what it is that you want to retouch, and you can see what it is in your mind before you've even finished it, you kind of know what the photo is going to look like. And that helps in all aspects of photography. Learning how to look at your photo and knowing what needs to be done to it is a tool and a skill that you really, every photographer or editor really needs to learn. You have to be able to look at things and know what you need to fix and why. So I'm going to touch up a little bit of the hairs right here, but not all of them. Like these don't bother me and those don't bother me. So I'm just going to touch up the ones that came right across her forehead that I needed to touch up. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out. I am going to go in here to the underarm. Underarms are definitely something that you want to look very nice and smooth. We don't want to draw attention to that. So I'm going to pull it down here to this softer skin. And I'm going to have to do it a couple of times. Sometimes when you do a larger area, it takes a minute and you got to move around your selection. But also remember that you are going to take it into Photoshop and do the smoothing too. So the smoothing is definitely going to take out some of the problem area as well. I'm going to touch this up and then I'm going to go even a little bit further. I'm going to try and get rid of this line here. Choose the skin. I'm going to hide it again because it was in my way a little bit for my next selection. So basically, my right hand is on the mouse and my left hand is on the H key when I am doing touch-up like this, because I need to hide and show it constantly so that I can see what it is that I'm doing. So it's sort of a two-handed edit, which actually most people probably edit with both hands, because you do, if you've gotten to where you're using the keyboard shortcuts, you know how great they are. That, I mean, you really almost just can't edit without them. They're so much faster, and they take your editing really and make it a lot easier. Okay, I'm going to touch up here and here. I'm going to do a few more little lines right here. I'm happy with this. I'm going to take a few little spots right here, nothing major. Let me move down. My computer's taking a second to catch up with me, and it can when you're doing a lot of the little touch-ups like that. It can kind of, or a lot of radial filters I've noticed can sort of make Lightroom not want to cooperate with you quite as well. And then she seems to have a little scratch maybe right here on her tummy. I'm going to take that out in this little spot. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. Get that one little spot. Okay, so I'm going to hit done. I'm going to hit fit here. I'm happy with that. So I am going to take this over to Photoshop now. So I'm going to hit Command E. And it might take a second, but it will open it over in Photoshop for you. So you can either wait for it to pop up or you can hit Photoshop yourself and go over there. And I'm going to use Smooth as a Baby Bottom. I'm over in the Luxe Newborn set. I'm going to hit play. Go ahead and hit continue. It'll give you directions if you're not familiar with actions. Each step gives you a nice direction so that you're, it just makes it a little bit easier in the beginning when you're trying to remember what type of brush, if a hard or a soft brush or that kind of thing. So those directions can help, and I usually leave them. Even though I know what it says at this point, I still leave them just as a little reminder. So this is going to pop up. I am going to turn off Healthy Tone. It warms the skin just a little bit, and I don't want her any warmer. So I'm going to flip that off, and I'm going to leave the rest as it is. I'm going to hit the B. Excuse me, I have to be clicked in here. I clicked out. I'm going to hit B. And if ever, sometimes in Photoshop, especially in the beginning, you're not sure what happened. You've used an action or something once or twice and it worked fine, and then all of a sudden, like that, you're like, wait, where's my brush? Just come back over here and think about it for a minute. You've got to be clicked into the layer that you want to work in. So if I wanted to just specifically work in this or change the opacity or something like that, I have to be clicked in here. So I want to do the actual smoothing, so I need to be clicked in here, then my brush shows up, and then it's going to do the smoothing that I need. So I'm going to hit zoom, well Z, which is zoom on your keyboard, and then if you hit B again, it will take you out of zoom and it'll bring your brush back up just like you left it. So you're not having to click over here in this panel to the left quite as much. I'm going to smooth over all that fixing we did of her underarm, all the skin. You want to definitely go on the hands as well. You don't want to go over the cracks of her fingers. You want to stay within them here, but you do still want them to be just as smooth as the rest of the skin. Up here on her arm, over here to the elbow. A little bit up here, you're going to have to make your brush a little bit smaller, and once again, my right hand is mouse and left hand is keyboard for those keyboard shortcuts of changing the size of my brush. They're the bracketing keys over by the delete and the return buttons, the square bracketing keys. Adjust your brush. Okay. And the same thing is in Lightroom. If you hit your space bar, it pulls up the little hand that lets you move your photo without changing what tool you're working with. So it doesn't change it out of my brush. It just turns it into a hand and lets me slide the photo where I need it. Just doing smoothing all through here, staying away from the edges, stay away from the belly button, stay away from the edge of the clothes. Perfect. I'm going to come down further, smoothing. And I'd say on average, it should be 3 to 5 minutes for smoothing. If there's a lot of, I don't know what kind of clothing, it depends, I guess. If there's sort of a lot of straps or a lot of edges, it can take a little bit longer, but I don't think it should really ever take you more than about 5 minutes to do a smoothing, a full smoothing. Okay, I'm happy with that. I am going to zoom in a little bit further and do right under her eye. So once I hit the Z and then I hit the B. But see, sometimes you've got to be careful on the darker skin because the smoothing can actually make it darker. And I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is go right here, and you can do this with an X key. The X, see how it switched my brush color right there? This will take it back off. So don't worry if you do something and then you don't like it, you can take it right back off. Okay, I'm going to zoom out. And I'm actually fine with that shadow in there. I mean, she's wearing a mask, it's clearly shadowed. I still think it looks good when we come out like this, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to hit my layer up here at the top. I'm going to hit flatten the image, hit OK, and I am going to hit filter and liquify, which is a very fun tool. I use it a lot. I am going to I'm going to bring her leg in here slightly, just so that it matches up better to where her pantyhose comes up. And then I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to pull this out just a little bit to make this curve how I want it. And this is not something you have to do if you shoot boudoir, but it is something that you can do, and you need to talk with your client. You need to know if your client is expecting this type of retouch or not. But that's up to you, because it's what you show and it's what you tell your clients. My clients know that I do this type of touch-up, and they like it. That's what they're looking for when they have me do photos. They are looking for me to touch up their body shape and make it the most appealing that I feel like it could be. So that's what I do. I'm going to bring in her rib a tiny bit right here. I'm happy with her arm. I feel like these look natural. Her shoulder looks natural. I might bring this in a tiny, tiny bit and pull out. This is a big one. Even if you're not interested in changing the shape of things, especially with like tops and the sides right here, it can cut into the skin and it's not really the best appearance, and it can actually make somebody who's very fit or who really likes their body, and it's lovely, but those cut-ins will draw their attention, and you don't want somebody being like, oh my goodness, I love this photo, but I hate this right here, I don't like this. And I'm telling you, after doing it for as long as I have, women can be a little bit harsh on their own bodies. So you do need to be prepared that some women are going to want you to retouch. And if you are not comfortable with that, if you are not prepared to do that in your editing, then your client needs to know that that is not the type of editing that you do. But if you are comfortable, if that is the route you want to go, Liquify is your tool to do it with. So I don't need to flatten because I didn't create another layer, so it doesn't need to be flattened. It's already flat. I've done the smoothing. I've done a little bit of moving around, and I'm going to hit Command S, and it's going to take it back to Lightroom. And here I will pull up what it was before we took it over there. So we had done a little bit of touch-up, but not much. And then this is after. And I just like the little bit of shape change here. I sort of brought the fullness back up here and then brought that in just a little bit right there. And I think that it flows better with the way her body stance is as well. So I'm happy with that. So now is where I'm going to crop it in a little bit further. I feel like there's still just a little too much area around her. Let me see if I like that. Okay, I'm good with that. And then I'm going to make a couple virtual copies just so that I can show you a couple different edits. And I do this a lot when I can't decide what edit I want. I make a couple virtual copies, usually 3, and then I hit those with my favorite presets, and then I can quickly scroll through them and decide which one it is that I like. So let's see, I'm gonna come over here. I know that I always like Freesia, and it's just one that I kind of start with, and I love that. I'm gonna definitely leave that as my first choice here. I'm gonna click here on my second one. Let's see what else over here. Oh, let me see Bomb Pop. Oh, see, that's really pretty too. Really a lot more contrast. I like the depth of the black in that. I like how it brings out her eyes, her lipstick. Yeah, that one's really pretty too. All right, what else have we got here? Juniper, Julep. Let's see, I always like Sassy as well. Oh yeah, that's really pretty too. Let me try a black and white too. Or maybe Blackthorn. Oh yeah, that's really pretty too. Or Bejeweled. Yeah, I really like that one as well. Let me see. Between Sassy, I really like Sassy better. So this one I'm gonna change to my Blackthorn just so that I can see the difference here. So I'm gonna start here to click through them. This one is Freesia, which, I mean, that's just lovely. There's just nothing I would change about that at all. And then we've got Blackthorn, which is an amazing black and white. And a lot of times I originally edit in color, and then a couple of my favorite shots, I will go back, make a virtual copy, and give the client a black and white copy as well. And then this one's gonna be Sassy, which Sassy is just the perfect word for that. It really is. And then this one is Bejeweled, and that's just romantic and kind of dark. And I love that actually with her mask because I feel like it has that vibe. And then that is the original when we started. So I really don't know which one I would give the client. I really like Freesia, and I really like Sassy. I think I would probably give her Sassy. I like that one. And also that goes with goes really well with this edit as well. So I'm done here with my editing. I hope that it's helping. I hope that you're learning something new that maybe you can jump into with Boudoir, or if you just, you can also apply anything that I'm doing here to portraits, to anything really. You don't have to shoot Boudoir to use these tips or to use this kind of editing. So I hope that you find a way to incorporate some of this into your workflow, I guess would be what I mean. Even if you don't shoot Boudoir, I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you this week. And I'll see you lots of times on Pretty Presets, but specifically this week, I'll see you on Pretty Presets and Pretty Actions discussing the Boudoir. So let me know if you have questions, and I will be around this week to answer them. Thanks, guys.